In the first part, we learned that Rahab Siddat, a Brahmin son from Punjab in India, rose to the call of truth and justice. With his 7 sons and a few brave fellow warriors from the village, he set out on the long, uncertain path to Karbala. And when he finally reached that unfamiliar desert battlefield, Imam Hussain looked at them with wonder, his heart filling with joy. Could it really be true? He rushed forward, embraced them warmly, and welcomed them with open arms. And then came that day, the dark yet glorious chapter of history, the 10th of Muharram, known across the world today as Ashura. On that day, Yazid's army surrounded the camp of Husain from all sides. Their first move? Ruthless. They blocked access to the river Euphrates, ensuring that the Imam and his family would not receive even a single drop of water. Days went by. Children cried, their tiny voices fading in weakness from thirst. Women tried to comfort each other, hiding their tears behind fragile smiles. Yet, not a single one broke down. Imam Hussain and his companions stood fearless. They knew this battle could well be the final chapter of their lives. Yet not even for a fraction of a second did they waver from the path of truth. The battle began. Yazid's soldiers charged in swarms, swords flashing, spears raised, shields clashing, driven mad by blind vengeance. The Imam's brothers, his sons, his dearest companions, one after another, they leapt into the battlefield. Each embraced martyrdom, and the sands of Karbala turned crimson with blood. And then came the turn of Rahab Siddat's sons. First to step forward was his eldest, clad in the same simple dhoti, a cloth wrap around his body, a sword firm in his hand, and a line of eternal peace upon his face. Alone, he struck down many soldiers, but in the end, he too attained martyrdom. Seeing his son's lifeless body, Rahab's eyes filled with tears, yet he did not break. Quietly, he called his second son and said, "My child, do not fear. This is not death. This is liberation. Walk firmly on the path of truth." And in this way, one after another, all 7 sons embraced martyrdom. Each time Rahab lost a son, his eyes welled up with tears, yet on his face remained the same unshaken resolve. Before sending off every child, he would simply say, "Stand firm on the path of truth. All else is the will of God." At last, when all 7 of his sons had attained martyrdom, Rahab himself took up the sword. He was nearly 60, yet his eyes still shone with the fire of youth. He had vowed, "The blood of my 7 sons shall not be in vain. I will fight till my final breath by the side of truth." With his strikes, many enemies were vanquished. Yet, in the cruelty of fate, he too finally embraced martyrdom. On that blood-soaked sunset of Karbala, Imam Hussain and all his companions had embraced martyrdom. The battlefield was left with nothing but heaps of lifeless bodies, and yet within those still bodies was inscribed an eternal story, the triumph of an ideal, of truth, of unshakable faith. The Battle of Karbala had ended, but its echoes, they had not fallen silent. From Imam Hussein's family, only a few survived, his ailing son Imam Zainul Abidin and his sister Lady Zainab, a woman of unmatched courage, a fiery spirit. They were taken captive, dragged from Kufa to Damascus, a long, painful journey marked only by oppression, by humiliation. And yet, on that very path, began the second journey of truth. Hazrat Zainab and Imam Zainul Abidin raised the voice of truth wherever they went. They feared no one, neither the rulers nor the gathered crowds. Again and again, they recounted every blood-stained line of Karbala, who was martyred, how, and for what cause. And among those stories, time and again, the sacrifice of Rahab Siddat, his 7 sons, and his fellow warriors was remembered. When this tale reached the courts of Kufa and Damascus, the first signs of shame appeared on Yazid's face. People began to whisper, when a Brahmin from distant India could sacrifice his 7 sons for the sake of truth, then what of those Muslims who remain silent? Are they truly worthy of the truth? Years passed after the Battle of Karbala. Rahab Siddat's wife, his family, the villagers, all were deeply anxious, receiving no news of Rahab or the others. Just then, a caravan arrived from Damascus, stepping onto the soil of Rahab's village. But what did they bring? Not Rahab, not his sons, only the blood-soaked tale of glory. They told the story of how Rahab and his 7 sons had laid down their lives for a stranger on an unfamiliar land, solely to stand by truth and justice. The entire village fell silent. Rahab's widowed wife and his relatives, with tears in their eyes, said, "We weep, but we weep with pride. The blood of our family has mingled with the blood of Husain. This life has not been in vain." Mourning continued for many days, but from that grief was born a new awakening. The villagers resolved this sacrifice would live not just in memory, but in their very way of life. And so they gave themselves a new name, Hussaini Brahmins. This was not a ritual of religion, but a proclamation of the spirit. We stand with truth. Religion may divide us, but humanity will always unite us. The Hussaini Brahmins did not regard Imam Hussain merely as a Muslim leader, but as a living ideal, a radiant symbol of self-respect. They were worshippers of Ram, of Krishna, yet the name of Imam Hussain found an equal place within their hearts. With the flow of time, their generation spread across Punjab, Rajasthan, Delhi, Kashmir, Uttar Pradesh. Their children studied the Vedas, the scriptures, but alongside, they also listened to every chapter of Karbala. On every Muharram, they wore black garments, they observed fasting, and they silently shed tears. Yet their mourning was never a display. They did not partake in matam or in tazia. No, their grief was the language of the soul, a silent pledge. The sacrifice of Rahab Siddat and his 7 sons was not merely a moment in history. It became a journey of consciousness flowing through the centuries, a journey where the walls of religion, of caste, of creed were crossed, a journey where human beings recognized one another through the voice of conscience. The Hussaini Brahmins proved truth is never left alone. When a Hindu weeps for the suffering of a Muslim, when a Brahmin father offers all 7 of his sons for the cause of truth, then a story is born. A story that is not only religious history, but the history of humanity itself. Their lives proclaim, when the truth written in the Vedas and the justice written in the Quran unite as one, a new civilization arises, a civilization where humanity comes first and religion follows. Whoever rises for truth, for justice, for humanity, he alone is the true heir of history. For the Hussaini Brahmins, this story is not just history. It is the very foundation of their identity. They pass it down to their children, teaching them to walk on the path of truth is the highest form of religion. And perhaps this very philosophy also inspired them to join the struggle for India's independence. This saga of sacrifice is written on the pages of history, pages that have remained hidden from many eyes. Yet oral traditions, folk ballads, and a few ancient manuscripts still keep this truth alive. Their story is not mere folklore. It has also been illuminated in the light of research. The book Tareekh-e-Karbala clearly mentions the participation of Indian warriors in Karbala. Maulana Ali Naqvi, in his Urdu work Mukh Srishti, describes in detail the struggle of Rahab Siddat. Syed Akbar Hyder's book Husain in India explores the Hussaini legacy and its deep connection with Indian society. And a research paper titled Hussaini Brahmins from Banaras Hindu University also highlights the historical role of this community. All these sources prove the story of the Hussaini Brahmins is not just folklore. It is a living reality that illuminates the very essence of humanity. And what about legendary Indian film actor Sunil Dutt? He too proudly declared, "I am a Hussaini Brahmin." Friends, if this story touched your heart, do show your support by giving it a like. Don't forget to share your feelings in the comments. Who knows, your thoughts might inspire someone else too. And to discover more such unheard tales from history, glorious legends, and the fascinating chapters of ancient Indian culture, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. Come, let us rediscover together our lost heritage, the forgotten stories of India.